Hello YouTube, valleygal5678 here, and it's time for another album review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Arlo Parks record, My Soft Machine. This is Arlo's second full-length LP, following 2021's Collapsed in Sunbeams. This album starts with a track that, in my opinion, kind of calls to Collapsed in Sunbeams generally, but mostly sonically, as it opens this new album with the classic Arlo Parks' very poignant, poetic, spoken word type of vocals. But in this track, instead of talking about being collapsed in sunbeams like on her previous album, she's rambling of sorts on the theme of the album, which is seemingly trauma and how it affects the traumatized, whether it's through thought patterns, relationships, situations, etc. The line, "I just wish I was 7 and blameless," of course makes me think of 7 by Taylor Swift. And in that song, Taylor literally says, like, "Please picture me before I learn civility." With this line, Arlo is kind of wishing that she could just go back to when she was 7 and blameless, or before she learned civility. It's also just generally quite relatable. Going forward on the album throughout the rest of the tracks, these themes of trauma and how it affects the traumatized are played with songs full of instrumentation and production that sounds just like the album title, i.e. My Soft Machine, as generally the production and instrumentation is full of energy, whether it's through more digital instrumentation or classic instrumentation, but it still all has this quite soft screen of sorts on top of it, soft machine. And this idea of My Soft Machine makes complete sense when you consider the lyrical content of the entirety of the album, because I think it's very common for people when they're processing or thinking about their trauma, you're very soft to the touch in the sense that you're very vulnerable, you're very sensitive. However, you're a soft machine because not only are your gears in your head constantly grinding, a lot of people overwork to deal with all of these intense, overwhelming feelings. So I feel like this is an album that's not only sonically and thematically cohesive, but the sonic cohesiveness and the thematic cohesiveness are cohesive with each other. That makes sense. For example, the track Impurities plays with this idea in regards to how love and support from people you love and respect and admire can help ease the pain of trauma and potentially help you heal. This is very blatantly shown through the pre-chorus's lyrics into the chorus's lyrics being, "I shine like a star when you embrace all my impurities." The song also chronologically begins a motif of the album, which is repetition of lines. At first, I wasn't sure if I felt like that was, repetitive in the sense of like laziness, but after some reflection, I think it actually represents this idea of the need for kind of constant affirmations and like talking to yourself when you're processing and going through healing, etc. Because affirmations become incredibly necessary in order to, help yourself learn new habits and break old ones that keep you in pain. It's basically how you learn to stop like gaslighting yourself. So I feel like the constant repetition of lines throughout this album actually like calls to the theme of the album very well. The next track, Devotion, is a song where the instrumentation is very classic, but it brings that intense and, very like overwhelming energy through that soft screen, especially in the instrumental bridge. It just slaps. It helps tie the song together as a whole. And honestly, the instrumentation on this track just slaps in general. The next track, Blades, is another incredibly composed song. I love the production in regards to the mixing of the vocals, and the lyrics are great in general. It's like such a sapphic song. And randomly, the beginning chords of the song remind me of Sicko Mode every time. Like, I don't know if that's intentional. I don't see why it would be, but if it is, all right. The next track, Purple Phase, is another greatly put together song, especially with it's just a ad-lib scattered throughout the verses, which leads you to the chorus of It's Just a Purple Phase. The song has lovely melodies and lyrics, and you just can't go wrong with a Mac DeMarco style guitar. You really can't. The next track, Weightless, is a song where the production is kind of like carried by the percussion, but somehow it is still soft, and that's impressive to me. I love the Phoebe Bridgers feature on Pegasus. Phoebe's background vocals and just their vocals together sound so good. It's mixed so well. The second half of the second verse of this song is very poignant and vulnerable for Arlo. Not that her lyricism hasn't always been vulnerable, it absolutely has, but the being with someone always made me feel used, and it would make me angry, so I need love like a body needs sugar, really stood out to me as almost like a confession, yes, to the listener of the song, but I think also to herself, which is kind of what this whole album is about. I love the like ready ad-lib that's kind of used similarly to It's Just from Purple Phase, and I feel like both of these ad-libs kind of aid the songs in being effective in what they're about. So that's nice. What is Dog Rose? I'm looking it up. Rose canina, commonly known as the dog rose, is a variable climbing wild rose species native to Europe. Okay. Dog rose color. Okay, so it's just another word for light pink. Got it. The line, "You got me feeling hyper real," makes me think of how in Impurities she says that she shines like a star when her lover embraces all of her impurities. Feeling like a star certainly is similar to feeling hyper real. On the next track, Puppy, the themes of dealing with your own trauma is a bit more blatantly obvious, with lines such as, "I know some things don't get easier, I know some things hurt forever." The bridge of the song is probably my favorite bridge on the entire album. Shadowboxing, the fear of death, Wim Wenders movies, and awkward sex, big mulberry stain on the tennis dress, I'm a star, I don't care what your roommate says, I'm a star, star, star. Wonder if the world might make sense when we got 3 kids and our 30s end, but we're all scared kids and it don't make sense. We're all scared kids. I just love that connection of the like, wonder if the world's gonna make sense when we have kids and we're adults, but right now we are kids and nothing makes sense. I feel like that's just like said so well through those lyrics. The use of lyrics that express very obviously dealing with trauma, continue, and I'm sorry. The line "butterflies in my skull" is such a cool play on the common phrase "butterflies in my stomach," because the butterflies are in her skull because she is so overwhelmed by everything going on in the gears grinding that her skull, her head, feels like butterflies. I'm the same age as Arlo, and I definitely have felt similarly the past couple years, so I feel like it's just like a part of growing into an adult. And I think acknowledging and accepting your own trauma is just also a thing that happens for a lot of people around this age as well. So it's that double whammy of like being like, oh, whoa, like I'm an adult, I'm a human, who am I, paired with all of this like extraneous trauma that you've just like never really, let yourself see. Kind of like how in this song Arlo mentions her like shutting the blinds on herself. So all of that stuff is just a lot, and so your head ends up feeling like scrambled or like butterflies in your skull. Just such a great line in regards to like explaining that specific feeling. And I feel like in general this song is kind of like the sonic representation of acknowledging for the first time how your trauma affects your relationship with yourself. This idea kind of continues with the next song, Room Red Wings, as it kind of shows Arlo kind of talking herself through events and situations to perhaps help herself grieve this complicated and or failed relationship. And then the last track, Ghost, finishes off the album with Arlo wanting to open up to this person to let them in on all of her impurities and trauma and whatever so that they can help her feel like a star. Overall, as I said, this is a very cohesive album. It has so many stunning, poetic, lyrical moments, a lot of great production, and a lot of great melodies as well. The only like grievance I have is I guess Arlo could play a little bit more with her vocals and how she uses them, and I would definitely love to see Arlo play around with just her like sonic aesthetic and style in general. I think there's so much she could do. She's so talented. But as this is only her second LP, she is on a great track. 100% solidifies her as one of the best indie artists in our generation. Did this sophomore album suffer from the sophomore slump? No! And that is an accomplishment all in itself. So while I do think this is a great album, it's a great album as a unit. There's not a bunch of songs on here that I think I will constantly be like, oh my god, I need to listen to this song right now. And while there is variety, they all do kind of sound similar to each other, especially in regards to just like song structure and melodies. It makes it so the album's incredibly cohesive, but as I always say, there is a fine line between cohesion and repetitiveness, and I don't think Arlo crossed the line of repetitiveness, but she got close for sure. So for all of these reasons, I'm gonna give this album a 7. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to check out all my silly little social media accounts below, including my Instagram and my TikTok. If you want to see me react to all of the albums that I review on here, videos quite similar to my Ethel Cain reaction that I recently posted, you should absolutely check out my Patreon. It will always be on the lowest tier of dollars per month. And if you want even more exclusive content from me, you can check out my Sunroom, which will also always be on the lowest amount of dollars per month possible, where I just post more exclusive, raw, honest content about music, life, pop culture, whatever. Thanks so much again for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!